In the silence before sleep, your true self finally speaks. Most people hear it, but choose to forget.
There is something that happens to you every single night, and you have probably never noticed it. Not because you are not paying attention, but because it happens in the space between one world and the next. It happens in the few minutes right before you disappear into sleep. And what occurs in those minutes is not rest. It is not emptiness. It is the most honest conversation you will ever have with yourself. The problem is that almost nobody listens. And because they do not listen, they wake up the next morning as the exact same person they were the night before, and the morning after that, and the one after that. Until one day they look back at their life and ask a question that quietly breaks them. How did I end up here? Carl Jung spent his entire life studying that question, and what he found was not what anyone expected. He did not find that people fail to change because they are lazy. He did not find that people are trapped by their circumstances or their past or bad luck. What Jung found was far more surprising and far more hopeful. He found that the door to a different life is not locked behind effort or discipline or willpower. It is unlocked in silence, in stillness, in the moment right before you fall asleep, when the noise of the day finally drops away and something underneath begins to breathe again. This video is about that moment. And it is about what you carry into it, what waits for you there, and why paying attention to it might be the single most important thing you ever do for your life. Do not skip ahead, because the thing that changes everything is not at the end. It is woven through every word of what follows. And if you are patient enough to stay with it, something in you will shift before this is finished. Let us begin where everything real begins, with what you do not see. Every single day, you wear a version of yourself, not in a dishonest way, just in a human way. You wear the face of the person who holds things together, the person who manages, who copes, who keeps going. You speak in a certain tone, react in certain ways, keep certain feelings far below the surface because the surface is where life happens and you cannot afford to sink. This is not weakness. This is what it means to be a person living among other people. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear for the world, and he was not criticizing it. He understood it was necessary. The world demands a certain shape from us, and we give it that shape in order to survive. But here is what most people miss. Wearing a mask is exhausting in ways you cannot measure, not because the mask is heavy, but because underneath it, a tremendous amount of energy is being spent keeping everything that does not fit the mask from showing up. Fear, doubt, grief, longing, anger, the feeling that something important is missing, the quiet suspicion that the life you are living is not quite the one you were meant to live. These things do not disappear when you push them down. They go underground. And underground, in the language of Jung, means into the unconscious. The unconscious is not a metaphor. It is not a philosophical idea. It is a living part of you that runs continuously beneath the surface of your awareness, storing everything that consciousness cannot hold. And here's the thing about the unconscious that changes how you understand your own life. It does not forget anything. Every feeling you pushed away, every moment you did not have time to process, every version of yourself that did not fit the day, all of it is held in that deep interior space. And it does not stay there quietly. It moves, it influences, it shapes the choices you think you are making freely. Jung said something about this that is worth sitting with slowly. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Read that again. He was not being dramatic, he was being precise. The patterns in your life that you cannot explain. The way you keep ending up in the same kinds of relationships. The way certain fears grip you before you can even name them. The way your days have a texture that feels predetermined, like you are walking a path you did not choose. That is not fate. That is the unconscious at work. And it does its most powerful work in the dark, in the quiet, in the space where the day ends and sleep begins. That space, that precious and overlooked window right before you close your eyes, is where the mask finally comes off. Not by force, not by effort, but because you are simply too tired to keep it on. The ego, which spends all day managing your image and your reactions and your sense of control, finally runs out of fuel. It loosens its grip. And in that loosening, something underneath gets to breathe. Something underneath gets to speak. The question is whether you are awake enough to hear it, or whether you are already reaching for your phone, filling the silence with noise, because the silence feels just uncomfortable enough to avoid. Most people avoid it, and they pay a price they cannot see on any balance sheet. When you avoid the silence before sleep, when you fill it with stimulation and noise and endless scrolling, you are not just wasting time. You are sending the unconscious a message. You are telling it, "I do not want to hear what you have to say." And the unconscious, patient as a river, simply holds its position. It waits. And while it waits, it keeps running the old programs, the same fears, the same patterns, the same invisible scripts that have been shaping your days for years. Because those programs do not need your attention to run, they only need your silence to reveal themselves. And since you never give them silence, they never get revealed. They just keep running. This is why change is so hard for so many people. Not because change is impossible, but because the place where change actually happens is a place most people never visit. They look for change in the right direction, in the right plan, in the right morning routine. But the place where change lives is not in any of those things. It lives in the unvisited interior, in the part of you that is awake when you think you are finally at rest. They try to change in the daylight, with plans and systems and new habits and fresh determination. And sometimes that works for a while. But if the unconscious is still running the old program underneath, eventually the new habits collapse. Eventually the determination fades. Eventually you find yourself back at the beginning, wondering what went wrong, feeling like something in you refuses to be different no matter how hard you try. Jung understood this. He did not believe that lasting transformation happens at the surface. He believed it happens in the depths. And the depths are most accessible in the dark, in the quiet, in the moments the ego can no longer maintain its grip. So what do you do with that? You begin by stopping. Just stopping. Before sleep, instead of reaching outward for one more piece of content or stimulation or noise, you turn inward, not to fix anything, not to solve anything, just to notice. What is present right now, not what happened today, not what is coming tomorrow, just what is alive in you in this exact moment, as you lie there in the dark, as the day releases its hold. You give that a moment of honest attention. That is all. That is the beginning. And what you find there will probably surprise you, because it will not always be what you expected. Some nights it will be exhaustion so deep it feels like grief. Some nights it will be a quiet anger you could not feel during the day because you were too busy being responsible. Some nights it will be loneliness, even if you were surrounded by people for 12 hours. Some nights it will be something you cannot name at all, just a feeling, a pressure, an ache without an address. Jung called these visitations from the unconscious, not problems to be solved, messages to be received. And when you receive them, when you allow them to exist without immediately trying to push them away or explain them or fix them, something quietly shifts. The pressure lightens. Not because the feeling goes away, but because it has been acknowledged, because something that was trying to get your attention finally got it. And in that acknowledgement, the unconscious begins to trust that you are listening. And when it trusts that you are listening, it begins to work with you rather than against you. This is not mysticism. This is psychology at its most fundamental level. The mind integrates what consciousness accepts. What consciousness refuses, the mind stores as unfinished business. And unfinished business accumulates over a lifetime into a weight that presses on every day without ever quite explaining itself. Every restless night, every inexplicable bad mood, every morning where you wake up already tired before the day has begun. A great deal of that is unfinished business asking to be finished, and the finishing does not require a therapist or a retreat or a dramatic confrontation with your past. It requires 5 minutes of honest silence before you fall asleep. Now, let us go deeper, because there is a specific thing that happens in those minutes that goes beyond simply noticing your emotions. There is something Jung described as the final image of the day, and understanding this might be the most practically powerful idea in this entire video. Right before you cross the threshold into sleep, the mind does something remarkable. It settles on an image. Not necessarily a visual image, though sometimes it is that. More often it is an emotional image, a feeling tone, a sense of who you are and where you stand in the world. And that image is not neutral. It functions like a seed. Because while you sleep, the unconscious spends hours tending to whatever you planted in that final moment of waking life. Think about what that means. If you fall asleep reviewing everything that went wrong today, rehearsing your failures, running through the ways you fell short, that is the seed the unconscious spends all night cultivating. And in the morning, before you have even opened your eyes, you wake up inside the garden that grew from that seed. You wake up with a weight you cannot explain, a resistance, a quiet voice telling you that today will probably look a lot like yesterday. And it will, because the unconscious has spent 8 hours reinforcing the pattern you planted. But if you fall asleep with a different final image, not a forced positive image, not a fake affirmation, but an honest one, something true and real and forward-facing, the unconscious tends to that instead. It integrates it. It weaves it into the fabric of who you are. And in the morning, something is slightly different. Not dramatically, not like a movie transformation, but slightly. Just enough to make a different choice. Just enough to respond differently to a moment that usually triggers you. Just enough to feel, somewhere below thought, like movement is possible. Multiply that by a week, by a month, by a year. And you begin to understand what Jung meant when he said that who we are is not decided in the grand moments of our lives. It is decided in the quiet ones, in the moments no one sees, in the final image carried into sleep, repeated until it becomes the architecture of a life. So what is your final image tonight? When you close your eyes and the day dissolves, what is the last thing you feel about yourself? Are you someone who is always behind, always catching up, always slightly not enough? Are you someone carrying a weight that belongs to a version of you that may not even exist anymore? Or are you someone who is, imperfectly and honestly, on their way? Not there yet, but moving. Not finished, but real. Notice which of those images feels most familiar. Because familiarity is not truth. The unconscious does not know the difference between what is true and what is simply repeated. It only knows what is habitual. And if you have spent years falling asleep inside an image of yourself as someone stuck, the unconscious will treat that stuckness as home, not as a problem, as home. And every morning you wake up inside that home without ever questioning whether it still belongs to you. Jung was not a soft thinker. He did not believe in pretending things are fine when they are not. He believed in facing what is true. He once said that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And he meant it, because accepting yourself completely does not mean approving of everything you find. It means having the courage to see it clearly, without flinching, without rushing to cover it back up with a more comfortable story. That kind of courage does not happen in the middle of a busy day. It happens in the quiet margin of the night, when there is no audience and no performance, and nothing left to prove. But he also believed, with everything he had witnessed in decades of deep psychological work, that what we call the self is not fixed. It is not a finished thing we are born into and stuck with. It is a living process, a gradual becoming, and that becoming happens most profoundly, not in the loudest moments of our lives, but in the quietest ones. He called this process individuation, the lifelong journey toward wholeness, toward becoming as fully as possible the person you actually are beneath all the roles and masks and accumulated armor. And here is what most people do not know about individuation. It does not happen through achievement. It does not happen through accumulating more, becoming more successful, being more admired. It happens through descent, through the willingness to go inward, to face what is there, to integrate what has been rejected. And night is where that descent is most natural. Because at night, the ascent stops, the performance stops, the management of your image stops, and what remains when all of that stops is something worth meeting. Jung himself went through a period in his midlife that he described as a confrontation with the unconscious so intense it nearly broke him. He had left the shadow of Freud. He had established himself, he was respected and recognized, and yet inside, something was erupting that he could not control with his intellect or his reputation or his professional success. He had terrifying dreams. He experienced visions he could not explain. He felt, by his own account, like he was losing his footing in reality. And what did he do? He did not run. He did not medicate the darkness away or fill his nights with distraction. He sat with it. He recorded it in what became one of the most extraordinary documents in the history of psychology, his personal journal of descent and return. He called it the Red Book. In it, he drew the images from his dreams. He wrote the conversations he had with the voices that emerged from his unconscious. He did not pretend he understood everything he encountered, but he showed up night after night, and he listened. And what came from that willingness to listen was not destruction. It was the foundation of everything he would go on to give the world. The concepts of the shadow, the anima and animus, the collective unconscious, the archetypes that shape human experience across cultures and centuries. None of that was born in daylight. All of it was born in the willingness to meet the night honestly. You do not need to write a red book. You do not need to descend into a years-long psychological crisis. But you can take the essential lesson from Jung's own story and apply it to those 5 minutes before sleep that most people throw away. You can choose, in that small window, to be present, to be honest, to listen to what the deeper part of you is trying to say. Here is a simple practice. When you lie down tonight, before sleep takes you, place one hand over your chest. Feel your own heartbeat. The heartbeat that has been there every moment of your life, through everything you have ever faced, through every version of yourself you have ever been. And ask yourself, without pressure, without needing a perfect answer, what am I carrying right now that needs to be set down? Not solved, not fixed, just acknowledged. Just brought into the light of awareness before the dark of sleep. Some nights the answer will come quickly. A name, a situation, a feeling with a shape you recognize. Other nights nothing clear will come, just a vague heaviness, an undefined sense of something unfinished. That is fine. Both are fine. The point is not to arrive at clarity. The point is to make the attempt, to turn toward rather than away, to say, in the wordless language of honest attention, I am here. I am listening. Whatever is in me is allowed to be in me. Whatever comes, let it come. If it is anger, let the anger be real. If it is grief, let the grief be real. If it is a longing so old, you have almost forgotten what it is longing for, let it be real. The act of letting it be real, of meeting it with honest attention instead of avoidance, is the act of making the unconscious conscious. And every time you do that, the unconscious has slightly less power to run your life from the shadows. This does not feel like transformation. It feels like nothing. It feels like lying in the dark with your feelings, which is not exactly what most people picture when they imagine changing their life. But this is how change actually works. Not in explosions, in accumulations, in 1,000 small moments of honest presence that, gathered together over time, add up to a person who is measurably, genuinely, fundamentally different. Not because they tried harder, because they listened better. There is one more thing worth understanding before this ends, and it is perhaps the most important thing of all. Jung believed that the deepest purpose of a human life is not happiness, it is not success, it is not even love, though love is essential. The deepest purpose, in his view, is to become who you truly are. Not the person your circumstances shaped you into, not the person your fears made you into, not the person who learned to survive by becoming a certain shape, but the person who exists underneath all of that. The person who has been waiting patiently behind every mask you have ever worn. He called this the process of becoming whole. And wholeness, in Jung's understanding, does not mean having no darkness. It means being in honest relationship with your darkness. Knowing it is there. Not being controlled by it unconsciously. not projecting it onto others, not spending your days exhausted from the effort of keeping it hidden, but simply knowing it, the way you know any real part of yourself, with clarity and without shame. Every night gives you an opportunity to take one small step in that direction. Not by being perfect, not by thinking the right thoughts or feeling the right feelings, just by stopping for a few minutes before you disappear into sleep, just by bringing honest attention to whatever is actually present, just by choosing, in that small window between waking and dreaming, to be in contact with your own reality rather than running from it. The night is not empty. The night is not just the absence of day. In Jung's understanding, the night is where the self repairs itself, where the unconscious digests what the day served up, where the pieces of you that got scattered by the demands of the world are quietly gathered back together. And you can cooperate with that process, or you can resist it. You can bring honesty to that threshold, or you can bring noise. You can plant a seed of genuine self-awareness, or you can plant another layer of avoidance. The choice seems small. It does not feel like it matters, but it is the choice that, repeated over a lifetime, determines whether you gradually become more yourself or whether you gradually become more lost, whether your life deepens or whether it simply continues, moving along the surface of things, never quite reaching the truth of who you are. Jung wrote, near the end of his long life, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not what you accomplished, not what you acquired, not how you were remembered by others, who you truly are. That becoming does not happen in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet, in the dark, in the moment before sleep, when the mask finally comes off and something real gets to breathe. Tonight, give that something real a few minutes of your honest attention. Not to fix it, not to manage it, just to meet it, just to let it know that you are listening. That is where the change begins, not in a dramatic moment, not with a loud decision, in a single honest minute of stillness, at the end of one ordinary day, in the dark, before you drift into sleep. That minute is enough. Start there, and do not stop.